Tough to have pizzas at these things anymore.
We are live, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, we want to start the meeting?
Yeah, go ahead.
12:01, all right, let's call it to order. Any additions, corrections, approval of the secretary's minutes?
No, they were excellent.
I thought they were vastly improved.
Oh, yeah, me too. Matter of fact, I moved to approve.
I learned from the best.
Second, third.
I mean, the clarity and the conciseness and the organizational skills were very apparent.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it'll only go downhill from here, so.
A plus.
That was an official motion to approve. I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Dean.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Morning.
I didn't realize our, good morning to you, Kurt. Yeah, it seems like our last meeting was only a couple weeks ago, and I guess it really was. So the ski shop continues to see steady traffic. We're almost sold out of everything, which is kind of an interesting issue to have. I wish I could sell out of all of our golf stuff. Matt's been ordering product for next season already. He went up to Boyne last week to test out new product. And I guess when you order it now, you get better deals. So we're going to be stocked up for next year already. Golf Performance Academy is seeing more traffic than usual, which I think is a good sign that golf is going to stay strong, at least for the start of the season. And if we look at our membership pre-sale numbers, those are also ahead of last year. So all good indications we're on the right path for this coming year. Nothing new to report on the break-ins other than I need to keep working on the insurance claims. I did contact Thielen about doing the upgrades at Eastern Hills, and they were excited to get started on the project, and we're going to come down to get some measurements and parts, and they're hoping to get it done as soon as the weather is good enough for them to get it done. So I was happy that they're eager to get the project done. I updated the yearly budget to kind of reflect what the ski shop is doing, and then if projecting that we're going to keep the increased play for this coming year. So if those numbers look okay, we can still tweak them a little bit. But I think they're a little more reflective of what we're seeing at the moment. And then I also created a couple new reports. So I know at the last meeting we talked about comparing core revenue at Millam, versus Eastern. So the first report I did addressed just the core revenue portions, not the total revenue. And Millam has had steady growth since 2012, with revenue increasing well over $100,000, which is 17% up since 2012. But Eastern Hills was down $12,000, which is 3% down. And if you compared it to 2019, Eastern was 16% down in 2019. The other report, since we're going to start working on a capital plan, is I just made a list of all capital things that are on the books since 2012. And I show that of all the money we spent over 1.1 million at Eastern Hills compared to 462,000 at Millam Park. And there could be other stuff we've spent, but those are just the ones that get ported over to the city side of the books. And so I think these two reports show how important it is that we have to focus on increasing revenue at Eastern Hills this year. And so I plan to work with staff there and closely monitor some strategies on how we're going to increase that revenue. Because I think
What are the ideas on how to increase revenue?
That's what we need.
does the staff understand how much money's been spent and how there's not any kind of a return coming?
Not yet. So I just completed these reports a couple days ago. So wanted to present them to the board first. And then I'm going to start following up with staff to show where we're at and what we need to do. So whether it's a combination of marketing, holding to our prices as best we can, making sure we're taking care of the customers that are there. I think it's going to be, I don't think there's one thing that's going to all of a sudden increase revenue. But we know when at Millen, we started working on the conditions of the course and making it as best as it could. It looks like that paid off into increased revenue. So that'll be a piece of the puzzle as well at Eastern. Getting the West 9 open would be a big chunk if we can get all 9 holes playable.
What do you think, Mike?
Bob, there's no secret. I think that we got to focus on finding ways of utilizing the West 9 and promoting it. You know, just having it there, I don't think will be enough. You know, I think that we've got to create some, you know, some things. I think we can do something with family stuff and kids and whatever. And, you know, maybe do something with seniors to, you know, have a 9-hole tournament during the week. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of things we can do, but if we don't focus on it and try to make them happen, if we just sit back and wait, I don't think that's going to get it done.
Hey, Dean, how much activity was there on the West 9 last year? Is that really dragging things down?
My wife and I own US 9 from 1 o'clock before. Our own private golf course.
Yeah, there's nobody on
it. Yeah, I think play on the West 9 was definitely down. I think some of the leagues tolerated it just because there was no other place for them to play on certain nights. But I think activity is definitely way down on the West 9 right now.
If people understand that it's going to be more an executive golf course, I think people will enjoy it.
You charge the same to play the West as you do the other 2 9s?
We've been doing a little bit of a discount there, especially the last couple of years. So instead of the $14 walking greens fee, it's been like a $10 greens fee.
I think that we maybe ought to have, you know, a few of us focus on that and work with you and the staff team, help with ideas. Unless you want to just carry that yourself. It's up to you.
I didn't quite catch that.
I said, you know, perhaps there should be a little group that helps you in this. Focus on the West 9 and developing of that, in addition to trying to find ways of promoting the regular 18 during the day and, you know, during the week.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I think if we're all kind of shift our focus to Eastern Hills this year, I think we'll benefit from it.
I'm not sure how one markets this, but the time I most play the West 9 is, you know, Gabriel and I play almost every day leading up to the father and son tournament where that's held. But one of the things that it does feel like, and again, I don't know if this is marketable, but it feels like a transition between sort of playing the par 3 and, you know, getting out on the big water, if you will, you know, that it offers that sort of opportunity. So maybe saying something like an executive course, maybe one of those things. I don't know if that keeps people from wanting to play. But that is what the West 9 feels like, at least to me, in terms of the development of one as a golfer. You're not getting big par 5s. There's 3 or 4 par 3s. The par 4s are short manageable. So again, I don't know if that becomes a marketing strategy, but at least that's what it feels like.
Steve, when my kids were growing up, you started off at Red Arrow, then you moved up to the West 9s. Once you, you know, were capable there, then you could play the regular 18 at Eastern, then you finally graduate to Millam. So I think there's a nice step progression there if we can somehow, get that in people's heads.
I totally agree. It feels that way because it's a question of how does one market that though?
I have a question about your core revenue comparison chart. So looking at Eastern Hills and you've got greens fees from 2012 to 2020, what is the minus 1% growth? Because it looks to me like you have a huge increase from 19 to 20.
From 2012 to 2020.
So is that what it is? It's from
1%.
2012 to 2020?
Yes, yeah,
Oh.
those comparisons are from 2012 to 2020.
Yeah,
But you have a huge,
it's such a steep dive.
yeah, I mean, it looks like it's on the upswing for the past 3 or 4 years.
Actually had it over a 10% increase from 2019.
Right, if you look at the chart below it, the red line is Eastern Hills, so you see that that's been steadily going down. And then we benefited last year from COVID. Millam's just been kind of a steady uptick every year, even despite COVID.
I think 18 and 19 I think 18 and 19 have to do with the sprinkler system, the irrigation system. I mean, if you look at 2020, I mean, I'd like to see 2021. I think we're going to see an increase. I think we're already seeing an increase. I don't think that we've got a huge problem there. I think so. When I think to myself, why do I go to Millam instead of Eastern? Well, one thing is proximity. It's closer to my house. Is the other because it's just in such great shape? Yeah, it is in great shape. So I would say you make Eastern in the way that Millam is in terms of quality and how great the greens are. I think we'll still see increases. I think West 9 is an issue, and I think that we need to get that on for families and stuff. But I don't think we're going to see a huge monetary increase by getting the West 9 on. I mean, I think we should. It's always been there, and I think that's neat. But I don't think that's why people go to Eastern. I don't think that's why most people go to Eastern.
What are the rates proposed for this year at Eastern?
They're $1 less per 9 than Millam Park. See if I can pull this up just to confirm.
Hi, this is Kurt. Hi, Brian. I've got just a few seconds. I'm in a Zoom meeting, but I'm at the property. Okay, if you can come around to the rear of the condo, we're right on Lake Mountain. And you'll see
Mute.
Amanda, why don't you mute him?
And just turn where you see the big palm trees and the sign, and then the very first left will bring you in right, to my back door.
There, it worked.
There we go.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's listening or not. Yeah, the rates, so we increased the rates at Millam by $1 per 9, or by $1 on the first 9, and then $1 on the power card. At Eastern, we did not increase the rates. So for comparison, it looks like Millam is $2 more for 9 holes and $3 more for 18 holes than Eastern Hills. And then we always run some sort of West 9 special. So if Eastern's $14, we've been charging $10 on the West 9. I think if we have it fully playable, we can charge more than that. Because it's always been the same rate as any of the other 9s.
Mhm.
Hey, John, it's Mike.
Yeah.
I think last year, there started to be a trend of people going to Eastern because Millam was full. Especially those that would call in trying to get a tee time. I know Joe was pretty good at trying to steer people to Eastern whenever possible. I'd hear him quite often give that pitch over the phone. Well, if you can't live with what's available, then perhaps you should try Eastern. So as I agree with you, as Eastern gets better and better, I think that will be a real easy sell and a real natural thing for a lot of people. I know that Larry and I did a lot of that this past year, as Millen was pretty crowded at times, and you just couldn't get a tea time.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the couple of 3 times that I went to Eastern, it was because of that. But each time that I went there and I played it, I'm like, why the hell don't I play this more often?
Yeah.
And so I think that, yeah, I think we, I think we, I don't know, some people might think it's the ugly stepsister, but I think if we can get the quality going at Eastern and I don't know, the ambiance kind of thing going is a little bit more too, maybe put some tables out, we've got the stuff outside, but just to have that more of a cool place to go to for leagues that hang out afterwards, that I think we're going to increase. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't be focused on the West. I mean, that we shouldn't be paying attention to the West. I just don't know if it's going to generate that much more income for us, given what we might have to put into it, vis-a-vis promoting Eastern as a quality golf course, not just because you can't get in somewhere else, but as a destination course on its own. I think it's a great course. I think that I think it's trending up. And I don't know about, and you guys have to think about this, Sean and Dean and Kurt, about, the rates there. I think this year is going to be another good year. And I think maybe we should try to grow hay when the sun's shining. And maybe we should be thinking about, increasing $1 or so to go to Eastern. I don't know. I guess I'll let you think about that, but I think we're looking at another good year of golf. That's what I'm saying.
I also think they are not being shy about raising daily play fees out here.
It seems very,
20%.
oh, sorry. It seems very clear, like if one listens, to any of the golf broadcasts, they're fully saying we're in the middle of a golf boom, and they talk about it during all the PGA tournaments that are going on, recognizing that that's occurring right now. I mean, it's a little self-perpetuating considering you're watching golf on TV, but they're acknowledging that this is a remarkable time for the recovery of golf.
I don't know how we market Eastern more. I mean, I don't know if we want to do a little TV, not TV spots, perhaps that's so expensive, but radio or some print ads. But I think we should be promoting Eastern as a destination course. Now we have good irrigation. I know that this is just going to get better and better. I think we should be,
I think that's a good angle. It's like there's been a lot of money spent out there to make the conditions better. And
it's a good product.
Somehow communicate that.
Yep.
And if you feel like you can inch another $1 out of a round of golf, do it.
Maybe even to the extent of marketing at Millen. I mean, maybe we should put up some signs at Millen. Have you tried Eastern? The course is in great shape. It's, I think we should maybe, put some signs up outside or something that would direct people to Eastern as well.
It might be too like a social media presence that is a little more photogenic. I mean, I do think folks have this impression of Eastern that the condition is not up to, say, Millen, and maybe it requires, like on social media, just there are some real photogenic looks, or to show that the condition has improved, even just going beyond, merely saying it's good, but the way in which pictures on social media might circulate how, improved it is as such.
Yeah. And I mean, just last thing I'll say, I mean, when I came to town in '87, it's just after that is when they put all that money into Eastern, and it became a really nice layout after that $3 million that was spent. And I think we should, hammer that home. We've got, some of those holes that were completely changed, and maybe take pictures of those, and maybe do your flyover to thing, that the drone video, and try to get those out, because there's some pretty holes out there. And I just think we need to promote Eastern as it is more. Sorry, I'm done.
I think we know that Eastern Hills is here to stay, and we battled that for a number of years with it possibly being sold. I don't know if the word on the street is people still think, oh, Eastern Hills is there. So I think focusing on, that we have reinvested in the course and that it is in good shape and just getting that word out more and more, it's got to help us.
Yeah, I agree.
That'd be a good job for Paul to start working on while there's a foot of snow.
I mean, 2020 did better than every year since 2012, except 2012.
Right. And if we had numbers going backwards, 11, 10, 9, 8, we'd see that every year going backwards was better than 2012. Well,
All the way back to all the way back to 95.
yep.
Tiger Woods came out. Yeah. And maybe we're headed that way again. Maybe in 5 years, we'll be up there again with this growth and with getting these new people playing the game. I mean, it can only get better. You got to get them addicted and get them hooked. And now we have 2 great properties.
All right. Next thing. So First Tee has published their spring schedule of classes. So I included that in the packet. So there's a couple of what I would call private classes where they're set aside for a special group. And then there's 4 open classes, 1 at each course plus an advanced one at Red Arrow. So I just want to remind everyone that we're still looking for lead coaches. And even though we have a lead coach for our class, we'll probably need 3 to 4 volunteers for each of those classes. And those are 6-week classes.
What's a commitment for that time-wise?
Generally, if you're an assistant, you probably only need to get there about 15 minutes before the
Is it
classes.
daytime courses? Is it afternoon, evening, day?
These classes are all in the evenings, so 5 to 6:30 are most of them. There's a 6 to 7:30 class. The earliest one would be 3:30, and that one's set aside for Parks and Rec, depending on what their schedule is going to be.
No way I get there at 3:30.
But there's 2 classes at 6 to 7:30 and 3 classes from 5 to 6:30. Then in the summer, those will change. They'll follow our normal KMGA instructional schedule as well as additional classes. But now that they've got that published, I need to figure out how I want to get the word out to not only have kids sign up, but also that we're still looking for mentors and volunteers. Something new, Millam is going to host a drive, chip, and putt qualifier on Monday, June 28th. We hosted one at Eastern Hills, I think the first year that they had qualifiers. This year they're trying to expand how many sites they have. So I got back in the mix again and they chose us. We're probably going to need about a dozen volunteers during the day based on how many kids we have. And the section has chosen Millam Park as a training site for some of the other qualifiers. So they're going to be on site Thursday, April 29th from 9 to 12 to run through what's needed and kind of test out the course and answer questions.
Well, that's really
Anyone's
fun.
going to be interested in volunteering for that, maybe set aside that morning to.
Yeah, I'm planning on it too.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, Gabriel participates, so I couldn't volunteer if he's doing it, right?
Oh, I'm sure you could.
Okay. Oh, good.
I hemmed and hawed about, well, gosh, do I want Patrick to qualify at Millam or do I want to take him somewhere else? So I don't have to worry about him competing while I'm running the event.
Oh, that's interesting.
But
Yeah.
there's not too many, there's not really another close by site.
Right, because it's been in Gull Lake the last couple of years.
It has been, yeah.
Well, the lads will know the greens. That'll help.
They can help choose where we're actually going to do the contest.
Oh.
My plan right now is to use the putting green for possibly both chipping and putting. If the section doesn't like that, then we might have to use number 18 green. I was hoping to use number 10 tee box so that we can have everything right there together so people can find their way around. We don't have to shuttle back and forth to the range or to the practice area. So we'll know more on just how we're doing it once we have that training on Thursday, April 29th. I think it'd be a pretty cool event, and it's probably going to be like 9 in the morning till 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So for whatever play we do have, they might just play number 10 as a par 3 or something. We'll be able to maneuver play around the whole thing. So that's all I have in my report for today.
Hey, Dean, what was the date of the qualifier for drive, chip, and putt?
Monday, June 28th.
June 28th. Okay, thank you.
It's in his notes. Dean, I got a question about the concession comparisons. I'm really surprised that, now I assume that the non-alcohol for Eastern versus is food, basically.
Non-alcohol would be popping food and snacks. So alcohol is just liquor and beer, where non-alcohol is everything else.
It seemed like Eastern had a pretty good group of people coming to dinner afterwards for sandwiches and a beer. So I was pretty surprised because I didn't really see much of that at Millam last year. Maybe there was and I didn't realize it.
I think Millam's just steady all day long. We sell a lot of hot dogs at Millam.
Mm-hmm.
Tended to be our most profitable item. And with the grab and go sandwiches, those seem to go very well.
I'm just surprised that Eastern didn't show up better on that.
You mean in 2020?
Yeah.
What's the level of effort being put forward at Eastern to food and beverage? Did they kind of feel a little uncertain about how they wanted to do it last year?
For sure. They were definitely tighter on the restrictions. They were on the restriction scale about as tight as you could get.
Yeah, I don't think people ran inside very often. You know, when they had the food service on, on the back patio, and they added those tables and they came out there, a lot of people started coming to that. That's what we experienced. And, but as far as going inside, yeah, I think they were probably a little hesitant because it was pretty black and white.
Is the staff going to feel more comfortable this year? Have you talked to them at all?
I think that's all based on the health department guidelines.
Yeah, who knows where that's going to go.
I think if people get vaccinated, there'll be a lot more at ease, perhaps.
Well, or they've got to be more assertive about trying to work outside. You got to make the numbers get up there. I mean, I think you got to lay the law down on them. It's like, it's tough for everybody to figure it out.
Yep, and that's why I thought putting these numbers on paper and presenting them publicly give me some of the data that I need to show.
Yeah, I think you got to let them know. It's like, look how much money's been spent out here, and look where the revenues are going. And they probably would feel bad if you rub Millam in their nose in Millam, but yet, Eastern's not keeping up, and that's where they're sucking all the money out of the operation.
I think there was always a historical perspective that Eastern generated far more money than Millam did. And I would love for that to be the case right now.
Yeah, I don't know. There's maybe some things can be done, Dean, at Eastern, like maybe moving some of those tables out front so that, at Millam, it's pretty obvious right there. You've got tables, you've got easy in and out access. So I think that probably lends itself a little bit better to people stopping by than Eastern, where you got maybe one table out front
and nobody visible. So maybe that's an area that we can help ourselves there.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just the, as you know, the curb appeal as you walk up, putting some tables there, some damn Cinzano umbrellas or something, just red and yellow and, just,
Yeah.
whoa. I mean, it sounds goofy, but I think that, oh, yeah, when we finish up, let's have a beer out here.
Well, and if you're,
Just bringing your card up and there's nothing really for you to see.
I totally agree with that also. I mean, Millam does feel outdoors there as a destination, a place you would go. It's so pleasant to sit out there. Yeah, it doesn't, you wouldn't even know that necessarily at Eastern. And I do feel that that is the reality. I mean, it's going to be around for whatever the, government says. The reality is it's, there's still going to be a lot of skepticism about indoor dining and such. And I think compromises have to be, made in that way in terms of like where people could go, where people might eat.
Yeah, I mean, if it's nice enough to play golf, you want to sit outside anyway. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say we make that approach area more of the outdoor dining area or sitting area.
well, and you could set your, if they're gonna hold it to the letter of the guidance from the state health department, then set that many tables in there and say, hey, guys, fill the tables. That's what the rules are. The rules permit us to do that. The rules permit us to have outdoor, service. We got to push it. We're not keeping up. We're spending a lot of money and can't keep going that direction.
Yeah.
They can do it.
Is this something you think you need us to help with, Dean, or is this something that it's just you and Paul and your groups there?
It's good in these meetings to hear from you guys, support and ideas. I think it does have to be more me leading the charge there.
Yeah.
But if I have the board pushing me for ideas and saying we need to do this, keeping an eye on what's going there, it gives me the tools I need to do it.
Yeah, and again, as that approach area to Eastern, where the carts are usually, if we could carve out an area where maybe you could bring in some big planted mini trees or something. I mean, just something to make that real kind of a whoa, kind of a catch, kind of pop, an area that will pop when you walk up.
And
Well, and do you go to them and say, all right, here's the damages. Here's what we've been spending money on. Now here's what we want to do. We want this a 20% increase in food and beverage. And we want a 10% increase. Here's the numbers, and then sit down and engage them and say, all right, now here's the goal. Help me determine how we get there, because we have to get there. Do we raise rates? Do we do whatever else? What do we do to make this happen?
Yep, that's my plan here in this next week.
Okay. Anything else in your report, Dean?
Nope, that's all for me.
Okay. I wanted to bring to the, sure most everybody's heard, if not everybody, that Chuck passed away. And I'm just toss it out there. What do you think we should do as a board to acknowledge, his efforts in the past years? Chuck was the president and I was vice president when we got the liquor license from the Kalamazoo Kings.
What's Chuck's last name? I'm not familiar with this.
Kleinard? Coinard? You don't know Chuck?
Oh, yeah.
So he was president of the board in 2012 when I came on board. And then he retired from the board in 2013. So we've had Kurt as our leader ever since.
He was the big guy, right? Tall?
No, that was Pete Farner
Oh, that's right.
I'm thinking of.
And I don't know if I know Chuck either.
Chuck used to hit balls at the range constantly up until about the last 3-4 years when health problems prevented him from doing that.
Was there a recommendation for a plaque or do we, do we get a big plaque and every time somebody, we lose somebody, we add their name on it, or because we lost Roshek a few years ago. What did we do? Put his name on a bar stool?
Yeah, I think we had some little metal tags that were on the bar. That was his seat.
Yeah.
But they had a golf outing for him, and didn't we plant a tree on number 1
Yep.
memory?
So we could maybe put some little plaques somewhere, like maybe even on the tee boxes, I guess. I'm not sure. I'm not in favor of planting more trees.
Oh, God.
I want my ashes scattered in the front right bunker on number 4. Act of revenge. Just dump me right in there. The bunker of shame, as we call it. Just put me.
Then you'll never get out.
What was your idea, Kurt? What do you think?
I say we either plant a tree for him or we put a plaque down somewhere on the course where people would, near a tee box or something like that with his name on it.
Or what about a bench? Is there a bench? Because then people might notice it more. And that also could be something if there's, other people that get honored. I know you're thinking of like reoccurring or something, but is it possible to put something on a bench where people would see it rather than it being on the ground?
New Adirondack chairs at the range, since he spent a lot of time up there.
There you
Yeah,
go.
he did.
Put some on the gazebo too.
Well, let's put something down by the range. What would be, put it on the chairs or a plaque somewhere on the side of the building?
You could do
Why
a
don't you
plaque set in the
investigate?
concrete up on the range, like if he was in a certain spot often, you could set something in the concrete.
And put it right in the center there, kind of near the range building.
Yeah, okay.
The chair might walk away.
Oh, that's true. Right by where, isn't there like a thing with the distance markers on the ground there?
We had some wooden blocks that fixed onto the concrete. I would think if we did a plaque, we'd try to set it in the concrete a little more permanently.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd make a motion that we put a plaque insert in the concrete at the range in memory of Chuck.
I'll second it.
Okay, any more discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, anything on the committee assignments?
On the Greens Committee, I think after spring is sprung and it gets going a little bit, I think that we ought to do a survey of all the nines again. Just establish a baseline for the year.
Who do you want to assign to help you with that?
I'm
A
sitting next to
request.
Larry. He's
Okay.
usually available. Probably Dean too. We like having his perspective.
Okay, on the capital budget committee, Dean, are you gonna get, I know you got us this laundry list of everything for the last 7, 8 years on capital expenditures. You're gonna get Sean and I something for the upcoming needs in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yes, that's on the short list of things to do. I would think that'll focus more on big items than it will that laundry list of this, that, and the other.
Okay, because I know Sean's really anxious to get to work on it. So as soon as you can get it to us, please. Is there anything that we need to discuss about the junior golf fundraiser right now?
Sounds on drugs.
Can't understand you, John.
Is this the junior golf, KMGA junior golf? No, okay. Can't hear me?
Yep, something's wrong with your speaker.
Yeah.
No.
You're amusing Patrick a lot.
Any help?
No.
No.
You sound like Peter Frampton on Frampton Comes Alive.
Okay, well, there might be.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's John.
I'll email.
That's,
We're
you're back.
Oh, I'm back. Okay.
Yeah,
He
your
was
talk
my-
box is off. So what did you say?
Okay, so are we talking about the junior golf Red Arrow golf outing?
Yes,
Okay, do we have a date?
yes.
And what's that date again?
23rd.
Okay. And so far we're a go. We got to discuss things like whether we're gonna have a tent, whether we're gonna have, we haven't discussed any of those things, right? I mean, we've brought them up. We haven't made any decisions.
Yeah, we talked about having different groups this year, morning and afternoon. We haven't discussed that out.
Well, I think that's just a matter of how many players we get. If we need them. I'd rather have one big outing than 2 small ones.
Is it still the Red Arrow benefit? Is it primarily the junior golf? Is it more overall junior golf? Like, is it a rebranding in that regard, or is it?
So Kurt and I are going to have a meeting next week. Hopefully Kurt's awake at his early AM time with the first tee, because with the first tee coming in,
I'll call you at 4:30 in the morning.
they're doing the marathon, which we did in the fall last year, and now we're going to do it in June, which is the normal time for doing it. Plus they have their own golf outing in Grand Rapids. So we just want to clarify how we're marketing it. We've always used First Tee, Junior Golf to support Red Arrow. This outing originated as the Support Red Arrow outing. And then we kind of added on Junior Golf and then First Tee activities. So I think in our meeting next week, we'll clarify just what our message needs to be so that it fits in the big picture.
Right, because junior golf at this point might be a, if you will, sexier sell than Red Arrow in some ways, that promoting golf for juniors or.
I agree.
Well, I think we've kind of transitioned that way in the branding of it. Call it more of a junior golf, it does both.
Well, you need the venue to have the junior golf there.
Absolutely. So I would be in favor of, I think we had a pretty good outing without having a tent and the food and all that. Dean, don't you think?
I would agree, yes.
So that saves a lot of money. Where we need to improve is we got a lot of donations, and everybody was gone by the time we auctioned them off, and we almost were, you know, you could play Battle Creek Country Club for less than you could play Millham. So maybe what we do is we, you know, do a wham bam auction right at the beginning when everybody's sitting in their carts and they're actually paying attention.
That's an option. Or online auction is an option. I know the hockey event is actually online through tomorrow. That we just made some donations to, so I could learn about how their site works and if there's any fees and stuff. If we went to some sort of online auction, that opens up an easier possibility of a morning and afternoon wave of players if we feel we want more players.
Correct.
There's a lot of outings that did that last year, and I think the software they use, I want to say it's called Bright Owl or something like. What is it?
Bidding Owl.
Yeah, Bidding Owl, and it was really cheap. ROI used it, and low cost, high return, because you can do it for like 3 days. You know, if your outing's on Friday, you can do like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
I can ask, there's a woman on our soccer club who I think she's really active in the Hackett auction. They did online, and I think it was very successful. I think, John, you would know more about that, but I can ask her what she's doing or how they did it. But it sounded like was, you know, very productive in terms of fundraising.
Yeah, that's the one they do for the dinner, for the Hackett dinner. I think that one might be a little bit more expensive. It's pretty sophisticated software, whereas Bidding Owl is pretty straightforward, just a couple of things. Anyway, you can check out the prices, but I do remember hearing for ROI that Bidding Owl was really cheap.
I would be curious on how hands-on someone needs to be with it and how closely they have to, you know, if you just set it up and go, or if you've got to keep reminding people of it with emails and how you get that set up.
So some of them, like the one for Hackett, if you get outbid, it tells you. You got outbid and it'll alert you, whereas Bidding Owl, I don't think does that. So they're all different. They all have different things.
Right, but you got to make sure people know that, you know that they can bid on it. And how do you get that accomplished? And what's good is that, you know, theoretically you could have people bid on this stuff that maybe aren't even playing in the outing.
Exactly. For sure.
Yeah. So you open it up to a lot more. Theoretically, you can get a higher, you know, dollar amount. Somebody doesn't want to take all day and play in the outing, but they'll overbid on a few rounds of golf or something.
That's the goal, to get people who aren't even there. I'll try to get you some information on Bidding Owl. I don't know about the hacking.
I'll ask my friend who does. I'll text her right after we hang up on what they do for that, and get back to you on that.
I think if I were going to vote, I would, and we were going to try to get another, 10 foursomes, I would split it. That would be my vote. I mean, that's not something we're voting on now, I know, but.
Well, what you're saying is set a benchmark. It's like, okay, once we reach this number of people sign up, but they don't sign up until the last week or two, a lot of people. So it's hard to manage it, but you reach a certain number and then you go, okay, now we're going to do 2 shifts, but now you got to communicate it.
Yeah.
Well, people don't understand that they're signing up for a morning thing in advance. You got a problem. They're expecting to show up at noon or 1 o'clock and be able to play. And all of a sudden they got a 9 o'clock tea time. I don't think you can spring that on the last second.
I think we would need to commit to that ahead of time. I think of the Cancer Society outing, they have morning and afternoon waves, and I think you sign up for one or the other.
Yeah, I agree. You would know when you're going to play.
Some people may play both. Who knows?
Right. That's a great option.
Great, thanks.
I know for the Cancer Society, when a business signs up, they might, John, you might bring 3 clients to the morning and you might bring 3 different clients to the afternoon.
Yeah, I like that idea.
36.
So maybe by the next meeting, when you start to form, solidify some of these ideas about that outing.
Yeah, I
I'll
think
send out an email with just some changes and things that we discussed. And try to start generating some input for the next meeting. Any other items to go over? Old business or new business? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Well,
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
so Steve, that clock behind you is not working, just so you know.
Thanks.
Hey, Dean, do you have a date yet for junior league sign up, or you don't know yet?
we're getting close to finalizing our plan for that.
Okay.
So I'm targeting early March before we start taking signups.
Okay. You just don't want to miss it.
You won't.
Adios.
Take care.
All right,
Remember-
bye.
There were also no public comments as well.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. For the minutes.
See you soon.